Hey everyone. So I wanted to take a quick minute to talk through managing people for productivity and profitability.
Welcome to Ask HR, the podcast dedicated to being your trusted resource, answering HR questions while covering broader topics and people and culture with expert insights and practical solutions. I'm your host, Yusin Pato-Young. Join me each week as we tackle your HR questions to help you navigate the day-to-day with real-world strategies, featuring special guests, sharing our stories, lessons, empowering each other, and learning from one another. Ask HR is proudly sponsored by YP Personnel Management and Consulting, a strategic, tactical, and practical HR solutions consulting firm. We are your resources at work. Let's get started.
So this is a session that I took part in during the ICABA Entrepreneur Jumpstart Series. We talked about some practices and strategies to help you to manage your people. There are fundamental strategies that are necessary and that works for managing people effectively. And it all boils down to process and systems. As an entrepreneur or solopreneur, you don't have a lot of resources or bandwidth or even a budget to do a lot of things, but it's important to have the mindset and put yourself in the space and set the tone for your business and practice as if you are a large business and you have the bandwidth. And it's all about preparation. The first thing we talked about was make sure you understand key labor laws and regulations. This is important to stay informed and know what the federal, what the local, and what the state regulations are, how it will affect businesses, your businesses particularly. There are a lot of benefits that are beneficial for your business that you may not know of. And then the second thing is you cannot afford not to have legal counsel, but we can't afford as an entrepreneur to hire an attorney right away. So just make sure that within your business community that you seek legal counsel to help you navigate through some of the compliance things and mitigate a lot of the risk that will come or associated with your business, whether it's compliance related or non-compliance related. What I mean by that is it could be because of filing reporting, or it can be about people, performance, wrongful termination, or safety. Once you understand the laws, whether it's local, federal, or state, now you're able to create policies and procedures for your business specifically. Not everything is applicable to you on the law and regulation side, which is okay, but you can still go ahead and create and develop these procedures to help you manage the day-to-day operations, manage your people, and then operate as if you are a huge company, because that's the goal, is to grow into a large company from a revenue side as well from a business side. Think about being very clear and concise. It doesn't have to be a very intense or a very lengthy manual, but it needs to be clear and concise. Make sure that it does align with the type of company that you have. If you're in the hospitality industry, there's going to be a lot of practices around service and customer and quality service. And then, most importantly, create a process where you're able to regularly review. Check in. Is it working? If it's not working, you can always update it. There are numerous templates that are there that are free. And in your particular business, tap into your city's Chamber of Commerce. As a business tax player, you have access to a wealth of resources. So just make sure that you start there. What about the memberships that relates to your profession? I'm in human resources, so I belong to an HR association, and there is an unlimited amount of resources that is available to me in just that profession. In addition, I also belong to other associations like the ICABA membership, who really educate and give you resources for your entrepreneurship journey. And then lastly, make sure that you are reviewing on those specific trainings. It's one thing to have the policies or the procedures, but we also want to make sure that we are training letting people know that they exist, letting them know where they can access it, and when there are changes, to update those changes and acknowledge those changes. Because then if they have any questions, that's one way that you can be made aware of any concerns. Brings me to the third, leveraging technology. This one is grand. AI and other countless of project management tools and CRMs exist. And what those do is make things a little bit more efficient for us to plan and to execute. And then so whatever resources that you can tap into from a technology standpoint, definitely do it. Again, talk to your legal counsel, make sure that you're utilizing the right verbiage and you have all the legal stuff intact. Technology and human resources is Human Resources Information System, short for HRIS. There are small system, big systems. If you are a small, medium, and you're growing, you want to look into some HRIS that pertains particular to your need. And also make sure that you don't have to implement every single part of the system. So if you're only in need of the payroll piece, then only access the payroll module. If you absolutely need the performance where you're able to track and monitor progress and performance, then only use that module. So they are available that you can use module by module or the entire system. And then the other way you can leverage technology is PEO, Professional Employer Organization. A PEO serves as another safety compliance caveat. They support your compliance, your reporting, if you utilize them for any payroll and benefits, all of the different laws that it relates to filing, and make sure that you are providing employee benefit program and making sure that it's compliance with industry standard. PEO can be utilized as well as a resource before you can incorporate a HRIS system, or if you're not yet ready to incorporate an HRIS system. Lastly, within the HRIS system or other systems, the communication tools are very important and help you to facilitate changes, because depending on the industry that you're in, things are probably moving pretty fast. And so you want to have the quality of work and leverage a technology that will help you to track, to have the accuracy and so forth. There's so much that I can say about technology, but if you're not a techie person, that tap into those type of resources, whether it's with the PEO or a consultant such as myself, or any other resources that you can tap in through your memberships and so forth. Let's learn more about our sponsor, YP Personnel Management and Consulting. At YPPMC, we're not just about advice. Whether you need strategic HR planning, tactical execution, or practical day-to-day support, we've got you covered. Elevate your business with client-focused, responsive, ethical, and result-driven HR solutions. Visit yppmc.com and learn how we can be of help. We are your resources at work. Okay, let's talk about compliance requirements. Very critical, very important. So when we talked about understanding the labor laws from the federal, state, and local, the reason you need to understand and know those aspects is because there are schedules and timelines that, as a business, a small business, a large business, or any Fortune 500 company, that you have to adhere to. There are annual reporting, like annual tax filing, people data, different metrics. I also talked about in the session about EEOC reporting, where depending on the size of your business, there are annual reporting that are required, and there are some that are encouraged because of the size of your business. So it's important to make sure that you understand those things to make sure that you are staying in compliance. The other piece of it is professional liability insurance. As an entrepreneur, small business, and growing, you want to make sure that you understand the compliance piece behind having liability coverage, which legal counsel, legal advice, and those resources will be able to give you all of the information surrounding that. And then you want to make sure that you are adhering. Create a process, a schedule, as it relates to the different things that you have to comply to. My panelist also is a safety consultant. And so she goes into businesses and makes sure that the employer is conducting business, the environment is safe for the employee. So there is actual records and forms and reporting that are required as well from a safety standpoint. And then so you want to make sure that part of your process is that you have the policies that outlines what those safety requirements and functions are so that everyone knows and that they're safe, and then also adhere to when you have to report and so forth. And the last thing we talked about was auditing. So that is dear to my heart, but also my pet peeves. So when it comes to conducting audits, it prevents personnel issues, whether it's people personnel issues, operations personnel issues. You have to conduct regularly internal audits. It doesn't have to be huge, but the little steps that you take and monitoring and the tracking, leveraging the technology, tapping into resources, having those things in place will prevent you from having a lot of HR issues, such as wrongful termination, having a policy of how people should be hired and the expectation of their work, job audit to make sure that you have people in the right job. So all of those things, you have to have records. Records management is very important. And when it comes to any type of case or complaint, the first thing that you will be asked for is records. So it's important to have that internal audit to help you with the record piece. And then address and rectify any concerns, any issues right away, and keep good records and keep track, because those will prevent you from having other legal complications. And then by having the process of an internal audit, reviewing things, checking things, where documents should be housed, whether they should leave, how often, a retention piece, those things will help you to foster just a different type of culture. Transparency, yes, but also more of the accountability. And you want to encourage your employees, your staff, so that when they have concerns, when something does not seem right, that they will come to you and bring that concern up. And then so that regular auditing is very important. I know I gave a lot, but let's just recap. So the 5 things were to first, understanding key labor laws and regulations. The second thing is once you do have some understanding, you want to create and develop policies and procedures that aligns with the type of work and business that you are doing. The third thing is to leverage any technology and tools that you can have. The fourth thing is adhering to the compliance requirement, creating a process and a schedule for when and how those will be handled and executed. And then lastly, conducting audits to prevent personnel problems. How and where do you start? Start with your city chamber of commerces because, again, resources galore. And the goal and the outcome and the return on investment for managing people for productivity boils down to making sure that you are making the most of your resources. When you are able to do that, you make the most of whatever resources that you have. Small business, entrepreneur, solopreneur, large company or not, then you're able to focus on your people, which are your assets, and you're able to manage through the various complex issues that exist. And before we wrapped up our episode, thank you to our sponsor, YP Personnel Management and Consulting. YPPMC goes beyond the traditional HR consulting by offering a comprehensive suite of HR services and compliance, HR technology, leadership and development, and more. These services collectively support your HR operations. Visit yppmc.com and book your free consultation today. We are your resources at work. It doesn't stop there. And again, you don't have to implement any of the practices and strategies all at once, but definitely be disciplined and start to prepare yourself and your business for integrating some of these strategies. and then making sure that the processes are being put in place. If you are in need of additional resources, look to a mentor. Consultants are always great. Someone like me and other many consultants and coaches that you may know are at your fingertip. Connect with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a free consultation and see how and where I can be of support, because I know that everything is not for everyone, but I definitely can be a resource to help you get started and share with you or forward you and connect you to the right individuals in your perspective area and your perspective industry. Looking forward to sharing best practices with you. Looking forward to connecting. Talk to you soon.